Hi guys, in today's episode I will be covering the disturbing case of the Turpin family children. 13 siblings held captive and tortured by their parents. This case is fairly new. In fact, it just happened last week. It is currently an ongoing investigation. So this will most likely be a two-part series. I will update you guys once I get more information. Sunday, January 14th, a 17-year-old girl escaped her family home through a window, used a deactivated cell phone to dial 911 as she alleged that her parents had been holding her and her 12 siblings captive, had been starving them and beating them. When the police located the teen, she was so emaciated that the responding officer said she appeared to be 10 years old. Police then went to the family home to question the parents. A search of the family home revealed several children shackled to their beds with chains and padlocks in a dark, foul-smelling room. The parents were unable to immediately provide a logical reason as to why their believed to be biological children were being restrained that way. Of the 12 children discovered in the home, 7 of them were actually adults, ranging from 18 to 29. The youngest of the victims was a 2-year-old. Aside from the 2-year-old, many of the children appeared severely malnourished. The 29-year-old weighing a mere 82 pounds. Although the children were being homeschooled, many of them lacked the common knowledge of life. They didn't even know what a police officer was. In fact, one of the police officers asked for a first aid kit and some medication, and they didn't know what medication was either. Authorities arrested the couple that Sunday. They are being charged with 12 counts of torture, 12 counts of false imprisonment, 7 counts of abuse on a dependent adult, and 6 counts of child abuse. If convicted on all counts, the two could be sent to prison for 94 years to life. Bail has been set as high as $12 million each. Apparently, the teen had been plotting her escape with her siblings for 2 years. One of the other siblings had fled with her, but was so frightened and returned home. Riverside District Attorney Mike Hestrons sheds light on some of the horrific circumstances the children had to go through while staying in the home.
I'm providing a brief overview to you of the facts in the hope that anyone with additional information about these defendants, about these victims, about these crimes, will come forward and talk to the district attorney's office. These individuals, first what I want to tell you is these individuals sleep all day and are up all night. All 13 of the victims, including the defendants, typically go to sleep around 4 or 5 in the morning, sleep all day, and then be up all through the night. Victims report that as a punishment, starting many years ago, they began to be tied up. First with ropes. One victim at one point was tied up and hog-tied. And then when that victim was able to escape the ropes, these defendants eventually began using chains and padlocks to chain up the victims to their beds. These punishments would last for weeks or even months at a time. Circumstantial evidence in the house suggests that the victims were often not released from their chains to go to the bathroom. The victims were allowed to shower more than once a year. And by the way, the punishments included frequent beatings and even strangulation. One of the reasons for the punishments were if the children were found to wash their hands above the wrist area, they were accused of playing in the water, and they would be chained up. None of the victims have seen a doctor in more than 4 years. None of the victims have ever seen a dentist. Children were, when they were not chained up, locked in different rooms and fed very little on a schedule. They were not allowed to have toys, although there were many toys found in the house that were in their original package and had never been opened. The only thing the children were allowed to do in their rooms or chained up was to write in journals. We now have recovered those journals, hundreds of them, and we are combing through them for evidence. The parents would apparently buy food for themselves and not allow the children to eat it. They would buy food, including pies, apple pies, pumpkin pies, leave it on the counter, let the children look at it, but not eat the food. All the victims have now been examined by doctors and medical professionals. All the victims were and are severely malnourished. Specifically, severe caloric malnutrition associated with muscle wasting. To give you an example, one of the children at age 12 is the weight of an average 7-year-old. The 29-year-old female victim weighs 82 pounds. Several of the victims have cognitive impairment and neuropathy, which is nerve damage as a result of this extreme and prolonged physical abuse. This is severe, emotional, physical abuse. There's no way around that. This is depraved conduct.
Authorities have not yet released the names of the children. However, Ashley Vineyard, a woman who befriended the 3 eldest children when she was just 10 years old, identified them as Jennifer, Josh, and Jessica.
I was about 10 years old, and I was friends with Jennifer and Josh and Jessica. We didn't never really talk about their family. If you brought up their mom and dad, they would seem like they really wouldn't want to answer the questions. We went in through the back where the carport is. We went in the back door, and it's the living room area with the fireplace and all that, and there's nothing but newspapers laid out everywhere. There was animal cages, and there was poop everywhere, all over the newspapers. And then after they asked me not to come over and play anymore, we also noticed that they quit playing out front where we could see them. Anytime that you would hear them outside playing, they would be out back, and it was usually in the evenings, like after work time. And it kind of got to the point where you would hear them outside less and less and less and less, and then...
Which is pretty odd for having 8 kids over
yeah,
there.
And then one day they moved in that double-wide trailer back there and moved further to the back, and it was like you never saw them again. One girl said, well, I can't tell you our names, but if you listen, you might be able to find out what our names are. And her little sister, Jessica, told her, no, don't tell her that, don't say that, or something like that. Mm-hmm. We heard from our neighbor up the street that a lady had picked up one of the girls, and that she had run away and was asking, who's the president, how do I get a license, how do I get a job and a car?
Well, actually, she was asking how to get a job, a car, and you know, things like that. And they asked her who the president was, and she didn't know. And she didn't know her birthday, and she didn't want to tell them her name. And I kind of have a feeling it was the older girl. Was that Jennifer?
Yeah, she thinks it was one of the older girls.
Because I had seen her and I recognized her when she got picked up.
We were told that they had reported it to the Hill County Sheriff's Office or Rio Vista Police Office. I don't know which one. Other than not going to school with me, I was like, yeah, they're pretty normal.
So what was going on in that house? Is this some type of religious cult? Are these all David and Louise Turpin's biological children? Could some of these children possibly be missing persons? The fact that these children didn't want to say their names or felt that they couldn't say their names, they would get in trouble, and they were so odd about telling their names is a huge red flag to me. The fact that they were nocturnal, that they slept all day and then they literally went out and stayed up at night was really, really strange. The third thing that I felt was super duper strange was the fact that, they weren't allowed to come to the door or talk to anybody or come out and play. They pretty much kept the kids pretty isolated from the rest of the world, which tells me that this possibly could be a missing persons case. Also, something that raises a huge red flag to me is the fact that they hadn't been to a doctor in 4 years or a dentist ever. Like, that is insane. How do you have children that have never been to a dentist? Like, dental identification is one of the most accurate ways to identify a person. So the fact that they didn't take them to the dentist raises a huge flag to me, because it seems like maybe they didn't want them to have any dental records, which is weird. But I can understand that if in this case they were trying to hide the children and they didn't want the children ever to be recognized or found. Another thing that raised a red flag is the way that they moved out of their previous home from Texas to California. It was really abrupt. I know that they were going bankrupt, and at that time it said that David Turpin only had $4,000 in his account. So I have no idea how they came up with that amount of money okay, even more money to move out to California. As you guys know, it is super expensive to live in California. They kind of uprooted their whole family and just moved away. I think that it would be really, really interesting to see what a DNA test could provide to this case. What the heck do you guys think? What was going on here? What is going on? Alright guys, that is the end of today's episode. If you have any additional information or insight to this case, then please go ahead and leave me a comment down below. You guys know I love when you do that. Please feel free to share these videos. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you don't want to miss out on any future episodes. And I will see you guys next week. Bye!